Hello you guys, today we are chatting all about Disney's Vero Beach Resort. I'm going to be sharing my very candid thoughts on this resort, whether or not we plan on going back. And I'm going to be answering a bunch of questions that you guys submitted over on Instagram. And if you want to see more about our trip, I'll have that vlog linked down below where you can head over and watch that as soon as you're done here. But let's go ahead and jump into all of my thoughts on Vero Beach. We have a lot of questions to go through. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Vero Beach, this is a Disney Vacation Club resort. It's about an hour and 45 minutes from Disney World. So it's on the Atlantic Ocean side of Florida. So a lot of people, what they'll do is add on a few nights at the beach at Vero Beach when they're done at Disney World to kind of unwind. A lot of people will add this on to like a Disney cruise vacation. So that's probably the most popular way to visit Vero Beach, like the most common way that people visit Vero Beach is to do like an add-on to an existing trip that might be a little more busy, a little more like scheduled, and then you can go to Vero Beach and kind of unwind and relax. So that's kind of what Vero Beach is known for a little bit, but let's start with this first question. How long was your trip? Did it feel like enough time? We did 4 nights at Vero Beach and I felt like that was plenty of time. We had 3 full days and really all there is to do at Vero Beach, and we'll get into this in some of these other questions, but I mean, it's just really the pool and the beach. There's other resort activities and things like that, but it's really just the beach and the pool. So 3 full days of that I thought was plenty. Would you have felt as safe without Andy? Was it safe around the resort? Yes, it was in a very nice area. I felt very safe while we were there. Would I go without Andy? I don't think so, but not because of a safety element. I think just because you do have to rent a car to get from Disney World, to get from Orlando to Vero Beach. Again, you have to drive that hour and 45 minutes. And I think because it's outside of the Disney bubble, I don't know if I would have gone with just me and Ellie. Maybe if there was Disney transportation that could get you there and it was a little more seamless, but just because you have to rent a car and it's a little more involved to get there, I mean, anyone can rent a car, but you know what I mean? I don't know if I would rent a car and go through the hassle of picking up the rental and dropping it off and then going back to Orlando to fly home and the whole thing without Andy. It worked out really well because we just drove as a family. It was like 11.5 hours, so it was a long road trip, but it felt way more enjoyable because my husband was there. And yeah, so it wasn't really about safety necessarily, but more so the convenience of just doing it together as a family, if that makes sense. I'm gonna need more info on these bugs. Were they bad or noticeable? Y'all, the bugs. So Vero Beach sadly is known for bugs that are called no-see-ums because they are so tiny that you can barely see them. And they bite worse than mosquitoes. And I ended up coming home with about like 15 to 20 bites, which actually was not bad compared to a lot of other people at the resort. I stayed like pretty on top of the bug repellent and bug lotion at the resort, so I feel like I did a pretty good job of not getting bit. I'm not gonna lie, the bugs are pretty bad and it really did put a damper on our time there. The bugs are really bad early in the morning, so right when you go down to the beach, you know, around 8, 9 a.m., they're really bad. And then anytime it rains, the bugs come out after it rains, and then they come out again in the evening when the sun starts going down. You have these very small pockets of time throughout the day, like late to mid-morning, and then if it doesn't rain, early afternoon, like those are really your only opportunities to be out and about where there's no bugs. So you're pretty much always thinking about the bugs because it's either morning, night, or it just rained. Like it's always one of those 3 things. So that did put a damper on our time. Like I'm not even gonna try to sugarcoat it. It was not fun, especially when you're trying to relax at the beach. Like Ellie's playing and we're just hanging out, like eating our sandwiches, and the bugs, you're just constantly like going like this and like getting bit and just, they're just everywhere, like swarming. So there were a lot of times where we would just decide, okay, this isn't even worth it anymore. Like like we just need to go back inside because we can't keep sitting out here with the bugs. The resort does supply this bug insect repellent lotion. It is the most disgusting lotion that I've ever put on my body. But it was the only thing that worked. But it was such a hassle having to remember to reapply the bug lotion anytime you get in and out of the water. Even if you go inside and you shower and you're all cleaned up for, you know, dinner that evening, you've got to reapply the bug lotion and then you want to shower again. And so it just, I don't know, just kind of added this like really annoying thing to always be thinking about on our trip. It just kind of is what it is with the bugs. How far in advance did you have to book? So I actually booked this like 6 weeks in advance. I just logged on to the Vero Beach website and there was availability for a standard view room. I even looked into adding on another night to our Vero Beach reservation, and there was all kinds of availability like a week before our trip. I don't know if that's normal or if it's just because we were going in the month of August, school's, you know, back in, and maybe it's just a less popular time to travel. I would assume like summer, spring break, maybe those times book up a lot quicker, but I had no problem booking 6 weeks out. Lots of questions about like what's the minimal amount of time to stay where you feel like you get to do everything, how many days before you get bored. So lots of questions like what kind of time frame do you need at this resort? I would say 2 to 3 nights minimum is a pretty good place to be at, especially for your first trip. If you're just wanting to maybe add this on to a Disney World trip and you just want to add on maybe a couple extra days, I do think 2 to 3 nights at Vero Beach is all that you need, to be honest. And a lot of people go for 7 days and just love sitting at the beach, hanging at the pool. But I would say like minimum 2 to 3 nights and you would be good. 1 full day at the beach, 1 full day at the pool, and you've pretty much seen and done everything. There were a couple questions specifically about the ocean. How was the ocean? How does the beach experience compare to the Gulf? The Atlantic Ocean is very different than the Gulf. I grew up going to Cocoa Beach, which is about 30 minutes north of Vero Beach. So that is the beach that I knew as a kid, but it's very rocky and shelly sand, and the waves can get pretty intense. We did have a couple of calmer days, but I would say for the most part, waves are much more intense than what you'll find on the Gulf. The Gulf is like out of a movie. I mean, you have powdery white sand, crystal clear, calm water. It's great for little kids to play in. And the Atlantic Ocean, I don't know, we had one really good beach day and then one not so good beach day. The not so good beach day was the waves were just so intense that Ellie couldn't even be down by the water, because even ankle deep, that's where the waves were crashing. And so she got knocked down a couple of times and we had to like snatch her up really quick. So the idea of her being in the water and playing just wasn't really an option. And then same thing to like walk down on the beach. It was so shelly that we had to put our sandals on, and I don't know, it wasn't the Gulf experience. Now with the Gulf, you can absolutely let your little ones go down and fill up a bucket of water and like bring it back to build sand castles, and they can sit and play in the sand. You can go for a long walk on the beach, and you know, it's just a totally different beach experience. We did have one really good beach day at Vero Beach, and the water was a lot calmer and a lot of the shells had been washed out, so it felt a little more like sandy. I don't know if you heard me talk about this in the vlog. I was like, the sand is sandier, the water is wetter. So I think it just depends, but it is very different than the Gulf. What is a good value for what you paid? How were the food prices? So I'm assuming good value for like our hotel room. So we paid $240 a night for a standard view room overlooking the pool. I think that's a really great deal. That was with no discount. We did not rent DVC points. So you could potentially get an even better deal to stay in one of the deluxe studios or a standard view room. Obviously you're gonna pay a premium to stay in one of the ocean view rooms. I wanna say those are around like $350, maybe peak season $400 a night for one of the ocean view, like prime main building rooms. But for a standard view room, you can typically find something for under $250, $300 a night. Can you use Disney Vacation Club points here? We are thinking of buying a resale contract. Yes, you can absolutely rent DVC points, or you can own a contract at Vero Beach, but you can also rent DVC points to stay at Vero Beach, which is really awesome because the points are much lower to stay here. So this would be an awesome way to try out renting DVC points because the points are lower and you're just not going to spend quite as much compared to what you would spend renting DVC points at the Grand Floridian or Polynesian or something like that. The cool thing about renting points at Vero Beach is that you can rent points to stay in any room category. So that includes the in rooms in the main building, deluxe studios in the exterior buildings, 1 and 2 bedrooms, and these oceanfront 3-bedroom cottages, which just look like an absolute dream. So you can rent DVC points to stay in any of those room types. Did you find the dining options limited for the length that you were there? So that is one thing about Vero Beach. Dining is limited. There's 1 sit-down restaurant, there's 1 quick service, and then there's a lounge. So those are your 3 dining options. I don't know if you can really count the lounge as like food options. They do have some little appetizers if you go earlier in the evening, but other than that, it's just 1 sit-down table service restaurant and 1 quick service restaurant. So the sit-down restaurant is open for breakfast and dinner. The one thing I did love about the sit-down restaurant is that everything on the menu was so good. So you could go 2 or 3 nights in a row and have a different experience and order something different every single night. So I know that's what a lot of people typically do at this resort. They'll just eat at Wind and Waves Grill every night, but you just order something different and you still get to try different things. And then the quick service is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So those are your options. I think that's why I recommend like 3-4 days as kind of a max here. Just anything longer than that, I do think you would get pretty bored with the dining options. Did you miss the parks at all, or is this the best way to actually relax on a vacation with Disney? So we went specifically for the beach. So we did not miss the parks at all. So I thought it was really nice. It was just a totally different experience. I think that's the thing about Vero Beach is you're not going for go, let me schedule this activity, schedule this excursion, which you can absolutely do. Outside of the resort, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. You can go boating, you can go jet skiing, you know, like all kinds of stuff. But we went just to relax and sit at the beach, sit at the pool, hang out as a family, and just enjoy family time. And what you get out of Vero Beach is just so different than what you get out of Disney World. And I think as long as you know that going into Vero Beach, you'll have an incredible time. Was it worth it more than just a typical beach vacation? I love this question because we had actually looked into just going the Airbnb route, going to the Gulf, and doing our normal summer family beach vacation. Somehow, after pricing it out, going to Vero Beach was actually half the cost as what it was gonna be if we had gone with a 2-bedroom Airbnb on the Gulf. I think the biggest pro of Vero Beach Resort as compared to going an Airbnb route on the Gulf or anywhere else really is that you're getting a Disney resort experience. So it's really cool because you do get the beach vacation, but it still feels like you're at a Disney resort. You get to see characters. There's a lot of very subtle Disney touches throughout the resort. The cast member service is identical to what you'll find at a Disney World resort. So I think that's the biggest difference as compared to any other beach vacation is that you're adding in the Disney resort aspect on the beach. Are beach chairs and umbrella setup included or additional cost? It is an additional cost, but you can also bring your own beach chairs and umbrella if you want. So there were lots of families that had their own beach setup, but we really liked the idea of just simplifying, paying the I think it was $35 for non-DVC members. If you're renting DVC points, you can still get the discount. We were not renting points because we just paid cash through the website. So we paid $35 for 2 lounge chairs and an umbrella. And the convenience element of that was so nice. I am so thankful that we opted to leave all of our beach gear at home and just pay the extra fee to have that waiting for us. There were so many instances that Andy and I would look at each other and be like, I'm so thankful that this was already here. We didn't have to stake out chairs. We didn't have to go reserve anything. Like, everything was already purchased and booked first thing in the morning, and our chairs were waiting for us all day long. We had a spot reserved. We got to pick which spot we wanted, which was really cool. There was one time where a storm came out of nowhere. It starts torrential downpouring, and typically we would be like, quick, pack up all of our stuff, grab the chairs, the umbrella. Like, it would have been a whole thing to try to pack up all of this beach gear when it's like thunder and lightning rolling in and the whole thing, but we just got to leave it there. So that was really, really nice. So lots of moments where we looked at each other and we were like, I'm so glad that we didn't have to worry about the chairs. So it is an additional cost, but the convenience factor was really nice. I know you saw some characters there. Are there lots of opportunities, or is it by chance? So there really was only one time that we stumbled across a character just by chance. On the night we got there, we saw Pluto down in the lobby. I don't know if that's normal. I'm not quite sure. Through the month of August, they have character close-up, like special meet and greets on Thursday nights. Again, they said it was just through August, but I don't know. I have a hard time believing that they don't have characters come like other times throughout the year. I don't know, that just seemed odd to me, like only the month of August, really? We did see Pluto by chance, super random. And then on the character close-up night that was scheduled, Thursday night, 7 o'clock by the pool, everyone was waiting, and it was Donald. So you don't know which character it's gonna be. I did ask the front desk and they were like, I'm not sure either. It could be Donald, it could be Goofy, it could be Pluto. We don't know until the night of, which again, I think is kind of odd. So I don't know, they had these random meet and greet opportunities twice throughout our stay. And then one really cool thing is they do a character breakfast at the sit-down restaurant Wind and Waves on Saturday mornings, and it's only Saturday mornings. So we were there Monday to Friday, so we weren't able to experience that character breakfast. I was kind of disappointed. I was like, why is this only on Saturdays? Like, I don't know, but you do have to make reservations. So, you know, make sure you have reservations if that is something you want to take advantage of. But the character thing did seem like no one quite knew what was going on, or like when the character would show up, who it was going to be. So that was a little strange to me, but it does seem like you will see characters. It just seems a little unpredictable. Is it worth it bringing a stroller? We actually left our stroller at home. I mean, Ellie's at an age now where if we're just hanging out at the resort, we really don't need the stroller. We're just using the stroller for long park days with her now. She's 4.5, so walking around the resort, like, we don't need a stroller. But if you have a little toddler who, you know, if you're gonna be out grabbing dinner and you wanna walk over and do putt-putt, and then you wanna walk over and check out the beach, like, maybe. I saw a handful of strollers, not a lot though. So I would say if you have little toddlers, then maybe, like, why not? It doesn't hurt. But if you have older toddlers, preschool age, I would say leave the stroller at home. What is included with the resort and what is an additional charge? So the additional charge items are the spa. There is a full service spa at this resort, which is awesome. And the beach rentals are an additional charge. And then a lot of the arts and crafts in the community hall, you do have to purchase those. They were pretty involved though, like very elaborate arts and crafts. So that is why you have to purchase them. The things that are included at this resort are toy rentals down on the beach, like sandcastle toys. Putt-putt is included, which we really loved that. That was probably one of our favorite things that we did by the pool. And it's within the pool, like, gate. So anytime you come in and out of the pool, you have to scan your Magic Band or your room key, and that is where the putt-putt everything is located. And it's Peter Pan themed and it's super cute, and I love that it's free. So that is included with the resort. You can also do, there's like a pool table and shuffleboard, all of that is included. So really the only things you have to purchase are the crafts, like arts and crafts in the community hall, the beach and umbrella lounge chair rentals, and the spa. Cost comparison to a Disney trip. It was probably a fraction of the cost. So our resort cost after tax for 4 nights was about $1,100, like just over $1,100 for our 4 nights at Vero Beach. And then gas was $350. So we chose to drive from Middle Tennessee. So it was 11.5 hours. So that is total, like there and back, $350 in gas. And then for dining, I want to say dining and then our beach chair rentals. I feel like there was something else. Maybe that was it. Oh, and groceries. So that was just over $500 for groceries and beach chair rentals and food. So what is that, like $800? So just under $2,000 for a 4-night trip to Vero Beach, including everything: gas, food, lodging, activities, beach chair rentals, the whole thing. I don't know what your Disney trip costs, but under $2,000, I would say is pretty good when you compare it to a Disney trip where you're purchasing tickets and all kinds of character dining, and I mean, it can get as extravagant as you want it to get. So to spend under $2,000 for any kind of Disney vacation, even if it's not at the parks, I would say is pretty good. And the million-dollar question: will I go back? This is something Andy and I discussed on our drive home. I think the short answer is no, we probably won't go back. I think this was a one and done experience for us that we really truly loved and enjoyed, but we are Gulf Beach people. And I think we've been spoiled by going to the Gulf, going to 30A on the panhandle of Florida. We love going to that beach. That is just our beach. And the Atlantic Ocean, that was probably the biggest downside for us, was the Atlantic Ocean and then the bugs. Between those two things, it does make it hard for us to want to go back when we compare it to trips that we've taken on 30A. We loved the resort, we loved the dining, the cast members, the room was so adorable. I mean, everything about the experience itself, and we really loved the pool. Oh, y'all, the pool was so good. No one asked about the pool for some reason. But the slide, they would have water slide races, which do not happen at Disney resorts, because this slide was like out of control fast, and it was so fun. So that part was awesome. It really just comes down to the beach and the bugs. I'm so glad we got to experience this. This had been on my bucket list, on my Disney bucket list, for a very long time, and I'm so glad we were able to finally experience it. But I don't see us returning anytime soon. Maybe in the future, down the road, I don't know, like never say never, but at least for right now, if we are gonna spend $2,000 to go on a family beach vacation, I think we're gonna go the Airbnb route and go somewhere on the panhandle of Florida. That beach is just so much more enjoyable when you have little kids. And the Florida panhandle doesn't have no-see-ums because the bugs were just, it was not enjoyable, and that part really did, I know I mentioned this earlier, but that part really did put a damper on our time, where we would have loved to eat dinner outside or go for a walk or just walk down on the beach, but the bugs were just so bad, and it just made us want to be inside more than we probably would have if we were anywhere else. All that to say, I don't know if we will be returning to Vero Beach anytime soon, but I do still recommend this resort. Like, I do still think it's a great experience, and if your family wants to kind of unplug after a Disney vacation, after a Disney cruise where it's been a little more like people-y and you're wanting to kind of get away from that and just take a break, relax, spend time as a family, I do think Vero Beach is a really fantastic experience to add on to another Disney trip, especially because it's so close and you can rent a car and it's an hour and 45-minute drive. I mean, it's great. The location itself is great. I do still recommend this resort. I think it's fantastic. The resort itself is amazing, and we really did have a great experience. All right, that wraps it up. Those are my very candid, honest thoughts on Disney's Vero Beach Resort. I hope this was helpful if you are considering a trip to Disney's Vero Beach. Thank you guys so much for watching, and give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.